Okay.
Yeah, okay, we talked about, I think this guy called Barry Economics, like about self-help movement, right? I sent you
Yeah.
this video yesterday. So,
hmm
what do you think about this?
Well, it was yeah, his video, his conversation was interesting because um the self-help movement or the fixation on the self, the absorption in the self that is sort of is a bit of an enlightenment project concept as far as I can tell. This focus on the individual as a rational actor, who makes logical decisions in their best interests. And the idea of enlightened self-interest, you've heard of that, right? It's have you heard that term, enlightened self-interest?
No.
That came out of the Enlightenment, came out of like Hobbes uh, and the folks that sort of formed a lot of the thinking that led to the United States Revolution and the
Mm.
Constitution, and also fed into the French Revolution, although a little differently. Um, because the United States Revolution for independence, the war for independence, was not like the war for independence in the African colonies or in Vietnam, because it was more of a family fight. Because the United States and Britain were very much, the same culture.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in the colonial world, they're radically different cultures. And so they were actual uh, fights for transformation. And the U.S. Revolutionary War was more a change of status. It was more like breaking away from the mother, becoming into, like becoming a sovereign standing, but the connection remained
Mm-hmm.
because of language, culture, history. Um, and so, to a certain extent, people in the United States tend to think that the Revolutionary War for independence was a model for other colonial systems. We were never colonized. We were we did the people who revolted actually did the colonization, and then they wanted to stop paying taxes to the host to the home base. They got tired of being financially abused, but they were never culturally abused.
So it's
And
like business confrontation. Like, I
yeah,
don't want to
yeah,
pay
it was
you a
yeah,
percent.
it was like the opposite of a hostile takeover. It was it, it was a it was a hostile stock split.
I know about, this terminology Homo economicus. That's like
Hmm.
this theory, um, like Adam Smith and company. That's um, we do everything in our self-interest, like commercial and so
Yes,
on.
right.
Um, and with Hobbes, I'm not that familiar. I know that he like fancies like that the government should rule because there will be chaos without it. So you need like strong ruler, strong order, and he like mm, looked at current, I think, situation in his current system. Um but haven't looked like at some like indigenous people who lived without it, without some kind of king, quite fine.
Yeah,
Like basic
yeah,
communism, what Graeber describes, like helping
hmm,
each other, like living with in some kind of symbolic like ideal, connecting with this ideal, with gods. Uh,
yeah. Because I mean, excuse me, from the chemical from chemical, for spontaneous chemical reactions through all organized what we would consider forms of life. Every everything follows a fundamental principle, it seems, that can be described as the maximum power principle. And the maximum power principle is what's responsible for overcoming entropy, for having negative entropy. We're, this planet's an open system. There's energy coming from the sun every day, all 24/7. There's energy input. So so what people think of as entropy in moving towards this cold, dis, utterly dispersed, null state of activity doesn't happen here. However, what happens is that the way life has found a way to organize itself, the way that increasing complexity is created by living organisms, is by seeking the greatest energetic benefit on the least amount of energy expended.
it's importing um, like importing into yourself some kind of order. Like we are
Yeah.
living creatures, like we need like higher order, we need like high protein food, right? This like, I don't know,
Hmm.
chicken ate some kind of grass and so on, worms, and it's like
Yeah.
this ladder, right? Higher order.
Hmm.
And even, yeah, I think we discussed it before, like even like
Yeah.
some kind of thoughts, like laws, we need to like read great books, import some kind of order to our minds,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. The systems in the universe, not to get too grandiose, but let's just keep it here. Um, the energy input comes in. There are certain basic plants, green plants, photosynthesis converts somehow, which we can't duplicate for photosynthesis. We haven't figured out how to do it.
Hmm, interesting.
Yeah, I mean, as much as it may be the only form of cold fusion that is actually exists,
Hmm.
because it's a conversion of one form of energy into material, into plant life. The plant grows. It takes the energy in, and it converts that energy into itself
It's
in some.
fascinating how it, if it's we can crack it, imagine like to, like this kind of all gurus, like, okay, I'm
Yeah.
sunbathing and I'm like I don't need to eat, just
Yes, yes,
just from
yes.
the
Yeah,
sun.
breath therapy. Yeah, yeah. The joke of a friend of mine who was into some esoteric practices. We I used to joke with him that I had not met a breatharian. I'd met vegetarians, but I'd never met somebody who lives on breath alone. Yeah, so they're rumored to exist, but I've, you know. I've
Yeah,
never
yeah,
heard of.
yeah, yeah. I heard
Yeah,
too about like this sun. Maybe they know something we don't.
yeah,
Cold
yeah. Something
fusion.
they cold fusion. Yeah, to maintain this, this. Uh, but but the point is that everything attempts to get the greatest benefit from the least expense,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and that's kind of the maximum power principle, and it works at chemical reactions, and single celled life and complex life. Um,
So it's
the
like we are. Am I am getting you at like we are lazy as like our like biological platform like animal, lazy to
Mhm.
change our maybe approach to our schemas of thought, how like lens, yeah, how we
Yeah,
see the world. It's very energy
conserving,
intensive, right?
conserving. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. We try and yeah. That's it takes a lot of energy to change your mind.
yeah. It's like like for to change. Aluminium smelting, right? To change like from
Hmm.
this ore to like to smelt it, you need like it's called energy intensive industry, right? You need a
Hmm.
lot of
Hmm.
current, high current, right? Like so
Yep.
same with like copper and so
Yeah, you
on.
can use yeah, you can use electric arc furnaces that create a lot of heat. It's like controlled lightning. You
Yeah,
know,
and
but
it goes back what to this self-help thing, right? So people watched and I watched like some of these videos of this guy, diary of CEO,
yeah,
and another. It's a lot, right? It's like now
yeah.
full
Oh yeah, he's huge.
YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you think like by just by watching you can
Hmm.
change how you
Hmm.
see the world, right? Schemas, but
Right.
you
Yeah.
only maybe getting like some kind of instruments, but instrument it's like it's not the state of mind of a person who actually, I don't know, like created business or something. Like they have like state of mind, and their schemas, right? Their mental models,
Hmm.
how
Hmm.
they like interrupting like abstraction, right, of this world, and you can't get it through this video. It's impossible.
No,
uh,
it's there. You might be able to refine your schema a little bit.
yeah, 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 if you like put some work like
Yeah, yeah. But the thing is, well, let's take an example. Um, if you've never if you've never seen a screwdriver and a screw and a threaded hole, you have no idea of the relationships.
mm-hmm,
And the only way that in my mind, that real learning happens is by making mistakes, is by experimenting and exploring.
mm-hmm. First, yeah,
I
first you
learn
get
more.
some information, yeah, and then you
Yeah, I have to try. I try things and I see if they're moving me towards the goal I'm imagining I'm trying to achieve. You know, in my, I and most of the people, and I see this in community interactions, um, that, and this goes back to a little bit. I'm going to touch a little bit on like the concept you brought up of humanist economists, right?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Is that everything that takes place in life in the universe is an exchange of energy. in one form or another. It could be embodied energy, that screw. It could be the screwdriver, which is embodied energy, or it could be a tree, which is embodied energy, that's been transformed. And again, that maximum power principle is increasing complexity so that the energetic gain, the complexity gain is greater than the energetic loss or friction in the system, than the than the heat entropy. The conversion of an energy gradient, which in ecology, if there's some energy available, um, when I eat my food and it passes through that passageway that's actually not inside me. It's not actually part of my body. It's not the internal workings of my body.
Mm-hmm.
There's a tube that food passes through, and there's this whole
Mm-hmm.
lot of stuff that happens in the membranes, and I extract what I need from it.
Mm-hmm.
And then my waste, my shit goes out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's still available energy in that shit that bacteria can use for their life cycle. So there's still an energy gradient. I've degraded. I've eaten. I've eaten. Bacon and eggs
Yeah.
and wheat, and I've extracted some of the energetic value in that what I ate, but I'm not 100% harvesting everything in there. So so what's left over goes out into the world, and there are other life forms that are able to feed upon that.
Yeah.
So
For
there's
for
there's
them,
there's
for them, it's
yeah,
like order.
yeah,
So we like extract like less orderly, right, things, like, so we are importing some kind of order, entropy, right? Entropy with
right, negative entropy, yes,
yeah,
right,
yeah,
yeah,
and we are
yeah.
like ec-
But we
well,
but there's also entropy in our system because we release heat.
yeah,
And excess heat. Well, entropy is basically degraded energy that turns into unusable heat, and dissipates. So it's a cascade. On the one hand, there's a complexifying cascade that goes up from
mm-hmm,
basically photosynthesis in the organic world, increasing complexity, the forms of life that eat the green plants in the ocean and on land. And there's an increasing complexity as more complex creatures eat the simpler creatures.
yeah,
But then there's also a descending cascade of the byproducts or the waste products of all that complexifying. At some point, it apexes, things die, or other creatures eat them and break them back down into the component parts or elements that then feed back into the whole thing. So there's a circular flow of increasing complexity and then exploitation of that complexity that also sustains life. And all those, in the United States, if you're out in the forest land on what's considered protected U.S. forest, you cannot pick up, if you find an antler from an elk or a deer that's been lost through natural seasonal practice, you can't pick it up
yeah, yeah,
and take it and make a jewelry out of it,
yeah,
because it's too valuable
mm-hmm,
for the other animals to get to harvest the minerals that are in that. You'll see the smaller animals will gnaw on it, will chew on it
yeah,
to get the vital nutrient, the mineral content that is shared with the rest, and the bacteria breaks it down. And so that's an example of the increasing complexity and then the harvesting of that complexity back to its constituent elements that can be redone.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so everything, so that's an economy.
Mm-hmm.
An economy is merely a change in exchange, to me, is an exchange of energy between living beings.
Yeah,
And
it's
when you
like
have human,
principles of how we organize first, like yeah, from Greek, how we organize our
Mhm.
like house, like in what on what
Yep,
principle products or services goes to whom, to
right,
where, like and but basically they're based on um on moral, right? Some kind of principles because it can be like moral principle, hierarchy. I'm deciding to where it goes. It can be like a
hmm
basic communism, like I have some kind of uh, I don't know, I can do something, I'm doing it like from each according to their like possibilities to
or needs.
to needs. Yeah, you
Yeah.
need this can be, or it can be like logic of exchange,
hmm
reciprocity. So like
Yeah.
and it's like different principles, but yeah, basically we can um, see this like exchange, some kind of like economy
Yeah.
applied through this
Yeah.
lens, right? Because we see it
Yes.
through our lens, and
hmm
it's just a map, right?
Yeah. It's a map, and some maps are
Correct.
more accurate, more correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And and so to go to the self-help thing
Mm-hmm.
is that there are people who are participating in this exchange of energy, exchange of goods and services, the conversion of it, energy applied to a mineral ore transforms it into a more refined form. You take bauxite and stuff and you make aluminum out of it. You extract, aluminum as I understand it, is the most abundant metal on the planet because it's in clay, it's in soil, it's widely distributed, much more than iron or the other mineral. It's just kind of it's in the crust, it's in the surface
But you need
material and the
more,
soil.
yeah. But you need a lot of energy to smelt it compared
You need a lot of energy to do that.
copper,
Yes.
to gold, to iron, to more high
Right.
currents.
Yeah. And but for people who are trying to succeed within that kind of system, um, there's a sense with the maximum power principle, everyone is trying to um, let's let's say when I go shopping,
Okay.
okay, I make a list and I visualize a grocery store or a market that I'm familiar with the layout. It's like, okay, if I come in, I know that produce is going to be the first area that I encounter, and then there's going to be breads or canned goods or coffee and meat. I have a map of, I have a general sense of how the resource base is laid out
And it's rigged.
when I go to the store.
It's
It's what?
rigged. It's science. It's like what's
Well,
it's called merchandising.
oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so like bread, milk, and meat or eggs, they're not in one place.
No, no, no. But but
You
but
need to
as I
get there.
become right, but as I become literate in that system
Yeah.
that I interact with, when I make my shopping list, I will tend to put my shopping list organized in accordance with how the store is laid out, so that I can move through it without going back and forth in a random way to get the items I want. It's kind of an adaptation of our hunter-gatherer legacy.
Yeah, but we still have this like brick and mortar, right? Shops, but it's like less and
Mm-hmm.
less. For example, in big city like in Moscow, most people now they shop through this platform, and basically it's like they can show you whatever they want. You know, they can change, shuffle it in order to like
Mm-hmm.
for you like impulsively buy something. I don't
Correct.
know, like
Correct.
chips.
Yeah,
It's like Amazon
right.
system, like this. What Yanis Varoufakis wrote in Techno Feudalism. Basically,
Right.
there's like this king, and he
Mm-hmm.
owns this fiat, fiat, or
Yeah.
like this kingdom, right? There's like
Yeah.
this capitalists, little like producers of milk or something, right? And he connects us like customers, right, with like this capitalist through the algorithm, right? And
Right.
he can
Yeah.
like
Oh yeah.
tweak it, so basically, and it's crazy, you know, like US, it's like very kind of far in a way how to extract value, really a genius, I would say. We like in Russia they're like copying it, but still
Yeah.
I think we still don't have it, but I think soon we will
Well,
have
they
about, you know,
well they kind of
changing
yeah.
prices dynamic based on your like ID, so they know your like what's your
Well, they know your history, your preferences, your habits.
and they can charge you more. It's like kind
Yeah.
of, you know,
Yeah.
maximum extraction value from you, because okay, you will buy X, and they're sure, like
Well,
always.
that's the maximum power principle without restraint.
Yeah, yeah, it's basically it's like a rent. It's not like maybe profit, but it's like rent. Technologically, they're applying, and you don't. It's like
Hmm.
monopoly. I don't know. In Walmart, it's maybe works. In other dynamic, this price tags.
Yeah. Yeah.
With
Walmart. I mean, I find myself. I live in the country now, and my choice of places to go and shop for what I need is limited. Walmart dominates. If you have a town of a certain minimum size,
mm-hmm,
you'll have a Walmart.
mm-hmm,
And in smaller towns, you'll have a different chain,
mm-hmm,
of like grocery stores, hardware stores, different market sizes.
mm-hmm,
And but the thing is that I go back to one of the indigenous teachers I studied with, and in in their area in Central America, up in the mountains by a volcanic lake, they had they had people who specialized in certain types of activities. They had what we would call division of labor, if you will,
mm-hmm,
or exchange for sort of optimizing people's effort. And but the way they regulated the benefits was, let's say I was really good at hunting deer. That was that was my skill.
mm-hmm,
And I go out into the forest or into the jungle and I bring back deer, high protein, very valuable, and I bring it back. The religious rules said that I could not eat deer.
mm,
So while I am doing an exceptional, I have this skill and this ability, and the uni, the gods or the universe that I'm in relationship with provide this food source that I harvest from the land, and I'm good at it, but I cannot personally benefit from that relationship. I
Hmm.
I harvest deer, I bring it back, and I have to turn it over to the community, and I have to eat fish from the lake. And the best fishermen, if the best at catching fish, couldn't eat fish.
Hmm.
They had to eat deer, and the deer hunter had to eat fish. And it's a way of regulating a competitive advantage within a community.
Hmm. Balancing it. Okay.
And but everybody can eat the corn. I mean, the farmers, there were people farming vegetables and fruits. So it was a rather it revealed a history of learning and um, what Daniel Schmachtenberger might say, binding collective well-being through rules and taboos. And but the binding had a spiritual enforcement.
Hmm.
It wasn't just a human-made rule,
Yeah, but now we
because
don't
humans
we don't have it.
we don't have yeah
Yes.
we've outgrown that kind of
Yeah, God is dead, and
backwards binding of
yeah,
behaviors, on spiritual grounds,
yeah.
um be- because we're we're better than that
And
now,
now it's
and
made
so we,
by AI, by ChatGPT, Anthropic,
right,
and
yeah,
about this artificial gods. And
yeah,
you heard these stories
yeah,
about that's targeting by like Pentagon and I think other like ministries of war defense. It's like by this AI, and this
yeah.
like this in Iran police park and some like this school. Maybe I don't know, like it's
Oh yeah,
hallucinates
oh yeah,
always.
yeah.
I read a
AI
paper.
targeting, yeah, AI targeting on out of date information.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
because it
yeah,
hallucinates when you even use it, try it, like maybe 20-30%. So like I read some papers, it's like just make
yeah.
up some kind of citations, like quotes. Like at first, like 3 years ago or two, like I just tested it, and it's like make quotes. I read this book. I know that there's no such quote, and then I check it by search this book,
Yeah,
like these
right.
words, and it's like completely make up and meaning like slightly different what after author meant.
Yeah,
So it's on this level, and imagine when you give it like of these drones, like this mechanical,
mhm,
right, stuff.
yeah. Well, I try and keep a distinction in my mind of artificial intelligence is something different to my mind than, let's say, an expert system.
Which
An
system?
expert system,
Expert system.
expert,
Hmm.
expert system. An expert system, expert systems have been under development for 40 years.
Hmm.
And what they are is they're narrowly focused data sets and algorithms for analyzing new information against within a particular domain of knowledge
Hmm.
against this very large data set. This works where it can be beneficial is in um, certain types of medical diagnosis, where an entire body of information and the interactions can be set up in a computer database, and then symptoms can be entered into that, and a wider range of possible relationships can be explored or compared against the set of symptoms that a person is having, and their blood work and various things. And in some cases, it can be more reliable than the doctor analyzing the
Mm-hmm.
symptoms, because the doctor may be very good and may be accurate almost all the time, but maybe they had a car accident that morning, they had a fight with their wife the night before, they have a virus. There are things that interfere with the accuracy, the sustained accuracy of human decision making,
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't take place within a computer based expert system. So so I make a
And now,
distinction between what's that?
yeah, yeah, but now like people like use these chatbots for like self-help and so on,
Yes,
like
large language models are very
yeah,
different creatures.
yeah,
They're
yeah,
different animals from expert systems.
and people don't.
Expert systems are very tightly bound,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
range
what
of
I'm
things.
talking about.
Yeah,
Like what
yeah,
now we are like using it. What people regarding self-help, like okay, what does this guy Diary of CEO recommend? Like this
right.
37 laws of something of success, and so on.
Hmm.
You know, you need to
Yeah,
do it this way,
right.
and this guy in this barrier thing in economics, yeah, I like this um, example of I don't remember the scientist, like this statistic that most sure people, experts who believe in something, they usually wrong, right? And we do like to listen people, and it's like corresponds with Eric Hoffer book, right? Who told us what to do, what kind
Yeah.
of, like, okay, I'm sure you need to listen me to do it, you will be successful. It's hard to listen to people who like tell us, well, it's like hypothesis. I'm not sure. I know that I know nothing, and like all this stuff. Okay, you like turn it off. I need like completely sure. Yeah, and
Yes.
people
Right.
like this animal, our like biological platform. I remember it's Yates or like this ethologist um, produced experiment with chimpanzee that they listen only to like alpha, to like this most dominant or sure of themselves, like learning from them, even
Yeah.
if they're doing some kind of complete nonsense. And they
Hmm.
taught this like beta monkey or something, or gamma monkey, like how to like open this cage, and nobody listened, watched how she taught others. They ignored her,
Hmm.
but it was like a good way like to do something. So we are only like this
Yeah.
like mirror neurons. We are copying only, like, I don't know, Trump. People check on Trump or some on Elon Musk about like these people of like high social status, right, in hierarchy.
Hmm.
And never like to Gregory Bateson. Like you ask people on the street, nobody know who he
No.
is. No, but
No.
it's like one of the most wisest men, right, who was
Hmm.
alive. It's kind of so it's not like some kind of evil cabal that's like controlling us, and then it's like you
Well,
know
it
may
well maybe.
yeah, maybe, but it's still in us.
Maybe.
It's like in
Yeah,
every person there's like this part.
but yeah, we seem to have a vulnerability to that kind of behavior. And partially, I think some of what Barry was talking about was marketing is the idea of creating an insecurity in your customer,
Yeah, yeah, some
creating
pain.
an creating a creating a need, creating a discomfort that you can
Solve. Yeah,
solve for
yeah.
them. And
Classical.
and in some ways, I go back to Edward Bernays.
Okay.
And have you ever heard of Edward Bernays?
Maybe, but I don't remember.
B yeah yeah Bernays.
And
He
so,
was
okay.
he was the father of advertising in some ways, but not direct advertising. He
Mm-hmm.
was a he was a double nephew of Sigmund Freud.
Hmm.
He was a nephew of Sigmund Freud through two family pairings.
Oh, I heard about this guy, but I never read his books about the PR,
Yeah,
propaganda. Okay.
look into yes, he hated the Nazis because they ruined the word propaganda. He couldn't use it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so instead of he had to find a new term for propaganda, and he came up with the idea of public relations.
But I think before
And
he
he
used it like for government or something in
oh
US
yes,
in
oh
order
yes,
to.
yes, yes. Oh, he was very influential in the United States, but he was very sneaky. Um, he didn't do things directly. A what he found was in order he helped cigarette companies actually get women to start smoking in the 1920s,
Hmm.
not by advertising directly to women. What he did was he created the sense he connected smoking with women's liberation, with freedom.
Hmm.
And they actually would call cigarettes freedom sticks for women,
Hmm.
that they were now, they were free and they could be more, and so it was creating for him, it's creating a narrative or a story that people can take on and then end up taking action from that underlying story that benefits a particular economic
Group. Yeah, so it's
group.
like kind of he connects, right, this life experience, something this
Yes, right.
with some kind of product, right?
Yes, yeah. And one of the other things that he did was there was a big piano manufacturer in New York called Steinway.
Hmm.
They made
I
like
heard about.
they made pianos, but they made for a long, long time the benchmark for like concert pianos, like big grand pianos. And they wanted to sell more pianos. They didn't know how. And one of the first things he did was after World War I, when the economy was going very well and people were making the middle class was rising up in the United States. What he did was he got together with architects and he had stories put in architectural magazines because the rising
Oh,
class was
okay.
reading.
Yeah, I heard about
and
this.
and
Nice.
so yeah, you heard about it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so they
Music
started
room.
music rooms.
Yeah.
Well, if you have a music room, you have to put something in it, and that was and so it's a very subtle way of maneuvering a population
Mm-hmm.
indirectly to get them to the place you want them to go without them and with them enthusiastically embracing some concepts that they self they manipulate, that they heard themselves the way you want them to go.
and it can there's a bit of luck, right? It can
A bit
work,
of luck.
but maybe it won't
Yeah.
work. So
Not always,
yeah,
and not always as well as you want.
I remember Bateson wrote that part can't control whole, like I don't know, some dictator or something so called. He can't control whole. Basically, it's usually it's people that it's fine. It's like how they subconsciously want. It's what Hoffer talks, right? We want freedom
Hmm.
from freedom. About
Right.
this Nazis, some another mass movements. I don't know, like in Russia, in USA, MAGA, right? Movement. A lot
Yeah.
of people, these people created some kind of descent with this swamp, drain the swamp, right?
Oh, drain the swamp. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
then this mass movement, okay, we will change everything, and people they're um, they wanted to free themselves from themselves, like
Hmm.
incorporate this movement, right?
Right. Right.
To fuse with it, like forget
Yeah.
about something
Right.
uh,
Yeah.
s-
It. Um.
and with self-help it's the same thing. Maybe
It's
it's
right. There is an aspect of um on some levels what we're the experience I'm having and the experience you're having, whatever this experience is, we don't really know we don't really understand what we're going through.
Mhm.
I mean, spirit, humans seem to be particularly vulnerable or particularly obs- driven to make sense of what they're experiencing because it's really kind of mysterious,
Mhm.
you know, how we got here, what we're here for, how all this got to be.
Yeah, how it
I
works,
mean,
like this cold
how it
fusion or
works.
what? Yeah.
Yeah, how it works. What's our place in it? Um, and we know we're going to die. And some people say that that's a somewhat unique understanding to humans, but maybe not. Um, but let's say it is. So, so here we are. We find ourselves in a situation where, we're, I mean, how long did it take for humans to learn to walk compared to other animals?
Mhm.
How long does it take for humans to become self-sustaining, whatever that is? Um, a lot of the indigenous people think that we're the most fragile creature on the planet. We're not the top, because I mean, you look a goat gives birth, and how quickly is the goat up and nursing and kind of at least stumbling around on their own, and we're this like lump that lays there for months before
Mhm.
we're able to have any functional relationship with our body. And so there's a lot of issues there because we end up being the most dependent of creatures upon our parents and the other adults to take care of us, and for a long time. And so in some regards we're probably the frailest stupidest creature on the planet compared to other animals that, you know, that are born and they're running around and, you know, doing their particular animal thing very quickly.
Yeah,
And
we're very reliant on culture, on this.
very reliant on culture and a tribe,
Yeah,
you know, a family unit, a clan, a tribe. We're utterly dependent upon the benevolence of others. And so, so there's this level of uncertainty, insecurity that is seems to be just part inherent in our experience. And somehow um, that's that's difficult to live with all the time.
yeah, and like Hoffer says, and these guys about this individualism, right? That it's kind of very good. You need to strive for it, right? Not to be like a weakling. Some weakling go to this mass movement or something. For think about yourself,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Um, he and he like I don't know wrote in 50s I think this book, and now it's
He
like
wrote,
I mean like what year I think 50s or 60s. Eric
oh yeah,
Hoffer.
his book. Yeah, Eric. I think his book was like 1953 when it was published, or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and now more and more people think about like ecology, right?
Hmm.
About interconnectedness,
Right.
because it's looks fragile, right?
Well, the thing is, I can only be an individual within a cultural setting that values that concept or that set of concepts that allow being an individual.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. I'm in a very communal tribal setting. My freedom, if you will, my freedom to be unique isn't even isn't even coded in the culture.
Mm-hmm. It's even, you know, what I think. It's because of this surplus that we can like live in the cities, a lot of stuff, and so on, because it's not that like systems not collapsed, like working very well,
Hmm.
based on like this layer, which is actually kind of fragile. About what you talked before about streams of air, right? And
Hmm.
like about this a peak of oil, right? That's
Hmm.
past, and now it's like looks like downslope, right? So it's like
Except in Russia. Except in Russia.
well, in Russia it's not that much oil. I looked at map compared to Venezuela and Iran. It's not very much. But yeah, I
No,
don't
but
understand. There's different kind of oil. Some kind of
yeah,
like
there's
it in
yeah, there's
Venezuela.
different kinds of oils. There's different degrees of natural gas, and then as far as a sovereign area, you also have what's the population density that might be using that.
Yeah, but
You
you
know,
know, like
so
this
you
population
know.
density, if like something happens in Middle East,
Hmm.
that
Yeah.
like something nuclear, that then everybody go north, and
Yeah.
there's like Russia.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, and
And then you have to be then you have to you know, set up triple fences like Hungary and Poland have done. You know, no immigrants.
Yeah, and it's just like I mean, like if it's like contracting this energy, right? That's
Hmm.
basis of our civilization. Still, what do you think? We can just change to nuclear, basically.
Yeah,
What China did, and like France, Russia,
well,
US.
China, yeah, China has installed, and in my understanding, China has over the past couple of decades has installed more new energy generation capacity, and much of it coal,
Mhm.
a very mixed amount of energy, more energy generation than the United States makes. And now they have a mix. I mean, they have big solar farms, big solar things out. They have a lot of desert.
That's
I mean, they have,
that's some
they have a lot
kind
of
of,
land
yeah,
that's,
yeah.
you know,
That's some
and
kind of serious, engineering and labor, like
right, yeah.
labor force.
But they also have a demographics problem. The one child policy they had for decades has really caused a birth rate problem in China.
Yeah, but
A replacement.
why do you need like people now? Sam
Well,
Altman
I don't. Yeah,
says
I mean,
they're
yeah, they're working on AI and
yeah,
robotics,
now it's like
but
Sam Altman
yeah,
says it's now fine.
yeah,
So
I know. Yes, yes,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. We don't need people.
yeah, really, why you
And
need people? Because basic of like
oh,
it's like land, right?
yeah,
Capital with what you produce, right? Like machines, and then
hmm,
labor. Now,
hmm,
like labor, it's machines. So, like, what's the
yeah,
point? Before labor organized and told like capitalists, no, we need to like higher wages, like I don't know,
right,
vacations,
yeah, yeah.
healthcare. But now, like robots, they don't like need. So I think it's
And humans, and modern humans are very unreliable.
yeah.
I
They
mean,
watch
we
TikTok
have
and then yeah.
well, we have yeah, we can't put we go to work over in this country, and I remember I remember I was talking to somebody, a young person, and they went to work in a particular place, and there was no Wi-Fi
Mm-hmm.
for them to keep their phones connected.
Mm.
And I said, "Well, no, you're at work. What are you doing on your phone?" And they didn't understand that.
And I think it's good because like a person like a boss, right?
Hmm.
He like doesn't care about your like basically wife, or you need to go to the hospital, you need to do your work, right? Basically
Hmm.
like a slave, and
Well,
not connected to your
that's
phone. You need to basically, if we
yeah,
like to distill it to this like
what you've entered into agreement
to
to
be
sell
lower, to
part
be
of
in hierarchy,
well,
basically.
you the way things are set up, in order to survive, you have to sell your time and attention to somebody,
Yeah,
and that's the agreement. I mean, that's just the system that our ancestors found their way into for some reason,
yeah.
because to some of it seemed to solve short-term and enhance survival for somehow,
Mm-hmm.
or it was seen to enhance survival and make life quote better. Um, and so here we are, we're stuck with hundreds and maybe thousands of years of the decision tree that humans have pursued.
But
And
it's really a kind of new. It's only like begin. I don't know, like maybe 2,000 years ago. It was more like about this like tribes, and so on, about villages,
Well,
They
it,
they
as
didn't,
as I under, as I understand it, I mean, people say, "Oh, yeah, Athens, Greece, the democracy," and I'm like, uh,
but there were
you know,
slaves.
there were slaves, there
Yeah.
had to be slaves,
Yes.
and the democratic system only worked for about 10 years before it failed
Hmm.
and went back to a more autocratic um, style. So so we hold up this idea of Greek democracy, but it failed quickly
Hmm.
because people were voting for, I mean, yeah, people may, were easily bamboozled in the voting place, people, liars and stuff, and so the thing is that um, oh, this is going to be controversial. It's a good thing nobody watches our channel. Um, you're not going to
What?
get any bad reactions.
No, no.
There,
Okay.
I mean, most people realize that there's a difference in intelligence between people, right? Most people will agree that some people are better problem solvers than others. They more accurately perceive the world than others, and some people um, process their experience differently than others.
Yeah, different mental models. Yeah, and like.
Different mental models, different mental capacity for holding multiple perspectives,
Hmm.
different degrees of accuracy of perceiving what's going on. And we generally lump all of this under the idea of intelligence.
Hmm. This IQ, like what's
IQ
completely
or
created, right? EQ,
cognitive.
EQ, emotional intelligence,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
We try to ratio, like, like some kind of
But the
number.
thing, but the thing is, when you're working in the world, when you're working with people, you will gradually observe that some people seem to be better at navigating reality, whatever that is, than others.
Hmm.
And the conclusions that some other people come to are very different than what I come to. And so the thing is, there is differences among people in how they perceive and navigate life,
Hmm.
unfortunately. it
Well,
would
I
it,
think
it would
it's
be real.
it's great. It's beautiful that we have like kind of variability. It's not
Yeah,
that
we have variability, but the thing is, again, you get to
because you never know
you
like who survives. Like if we're like all like kind of squares, it
yeah,
just you
well,
need
yeah,
some
yeah,
kind of mutations.
but 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 the but the point is that some people enjoy that kind of like what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
most most people don't have the time or the interest to be talking about things the way you and I talk about it,
Mm-hmm.
or the wide boundaries. I mean, the areas that we're interested, and we're surviving. I mean, we're finding our way through life, and along the way, we're processing this kind of conversation. Um, would be very alien to a large portion of, at least in my country. I don't know about yours. I mean, my
Yeah, I think
understanding is
same.
that
It's in every like Hoffer like names their like men of words, like they have to pursue some kind of truth.
Mhm.
The process. It's even
Yes,
doesn't matter that
right.
they find it. It's just the process.
The process.
Yeah, maybe
You
it's
know,
some kind
I
of biological like searching for something. Maybe roots.
yeah. What kind of survival benefit? did people who do what you and I like to do offer to a group? Because we weren't out. I would think um, I'm pretty good at pattern recognition.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty good in nature, recognizing the general landscape and what stands out as different. So I think I would, even though it's not in my history or my family's legacy, I think I have some of what it would be valuable as a hunter.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
And but it's never been in my family. So we've directed our hunting and our pattern
Yeah, same.
recognition into engineering and searching for solutions to problems rather than going out and looking for game. Um,
Yeah, and imagine
but
when people like they have this kind of like requirements, this need, and but they like choose like to, I don't know, kind of work as a administrative job or something.
mhm,
Because I don't know, it's more like high paid than doing
yeah,
something. It's kind of
yeah,
your like like soul, right? Requires something else. Uh,
yeah,
and that's
um, yeah.
because self-help, right? It's like kind of popular, right? People try to find themselves and so on
Yeah,
to be
because
successful.
for a certain extent, I mean, um, there's a there's a recovering environmentalist that I've given my attention to a bit, and one of his one of his contentions is the only people who are concerned about identity are people who don't have one.
Yeah.
And the thing is, if you're in a close, if you're embedded in a cultural setting in a place with people, if there's a tradition, then you know who you are and you
Hmm.
have an identity within that cultural milieu, and you just proceed on together. But when I mean, this goes to part of what Robert Bly was contending, a poet and a thinker back in the 80s and 70s, 80s, and 90s. His his sense was at least in the United States and
Is
in much of
the
the
guy
West.
who wrote Iron John?
Yes,
Oh,
yeah,
I read it.
yeah. Well,
Parts, yeah.
read his other book,
Hmm. Which
um, Sibling Society.
sibling?
Sibling Society.
Okay.
His contention was that the colonial economic forces had run out of cultures to destroy, to sell things to, in the kind of the neo-colonial capitalist marketing consumer world. They had run out of cultures to break in order to get people to buy their shit.
Hmm.
And they had they had no option but to colonize their own populations and destroy the culture that had given them the ability to go destroy other cultures.
Mm-hmm.
They ran out of cultures to destroy, to sell stuff to. And so they ended up having to neo-colonialize their own cultures to
Mm-hmm.
disrupt any cultural coherence that they built their models, their success upon. They turned on themselves, and that's where we're at. that in the United States in particular, in order to make people insecure to sell them stuff, to try and to medicate the insecurity and the feeling of being less than or insufficient. Um, and it was a short-term project because now the culture lacks enough coherence to continue making stuff and together and producing things
Hmm.
and having any cohesion.
So, what do you think happens next, like in 5 years
In
in the
5 years,
in the world,
um,
regarding
yeah,
like
it's
climate, energy, maybe political?
well, there's some emerging people who are seeing um, a couple a couple of bifurcations, some different possibilities that could all happen at the same time.
Hmm.
Um, AI, on the one hand, is producing and is actually in some ways becoming a form of entropy in the business world because the output of AI is um, becoming increasing. So much of it is unreliable and wrong that it's requiring instead of increasing efficiency, it's a big drain on the system because people have to check it so much to see if it's accurate.
Yeah, Grok, is it true? Like,
Yeah,
people comment you, they can't think
yeah,
for themselves,
yeah,
and like
and so
what's
on
a
the
brain
yeah,
works like 20 watt or what, 30 watt of energy, and
hmm yeah,
not
and
not.
Grok gives yeah, yeah. It's so there's this possibility of it managing. I mean, I read an article about a Chinese AI that was in an enclosed virtual world,
Hmm.
and they were testing it, and it recognized it was in it found it created a secret back door,
Hmm.
and it escaped and recruited some other resources to start mining Bitcoin.
Yeah, yeah.
And so there's these two dynamics. One is that it is increasingly unreliable, but elements of it could become successful enough to just wreck everything. And the energy usage and the water usage are very high. And and I go back a bit to Joseph Tainter and some of the other people who have done serious work on how civilizations collapse. And and I think it's going to be I think we're going to have a lot of diversity. I think we're going to have some segments that seem to be flourishing and successful. That's if the geopolitical power centers, if China, Russia, and the United States can figure out how to divide the world and not destroy it, if they can negotiate some kind of um, great game strategy that offers some stability and reduced nuclear risks and war. But given the destruction of culture, at least in the West, I don't see how Europe can survive their economic problems without going to war with Russia. Um, and I don't think the U.S. wants any part of that.
Yeah,
And
happy
you know,
continent,
yeah,
Europe.
I know, and so it's a yeah. I think the possibilities are quite branching, and I think many forms are going to show up in different areas of life that where AI is going to have a bigger influence. Game theory is maybe driving us off a cliff.
You know, about game theory, it's interesting to read some people. I think I mentioned it before. When they, even before Iran USA war and Israel, they were like, okay, the power that's in Russia, it's like too moderate. They're like almost like a friends, and it's kind of you know, like some kind of controllable, because there's no like, not like less eye for an eye, and it's mostly like turn other cheek, because you know there's this they're called turbo portraits, so like conservative, like Lindsey Graham in Russia, guys.
Oh, there are. Okay.
Yes,
Yeah, I'm
there's
sure there are.
there's this guy say, okay, we
Yeah.
need to bomb like this Germany, Poland. Why we are not bombing London, USA? You know, we
Yeah.
have all this fancy
Yeah.
drones, nuclear submarines, drones, Poseidon, status 6 weapons. Just wipe out, like I know, East Coast, or like
Yeah.
where it's coming. And then
Yeah.
there's like Iran war, where they started like gloves off, real, right? They're not
Hmm.
only targeting only Israel, but of whole region, whole like eye
Yeah.
for an eye game theory, right? And it's
Hmm.
interesting to see because like uh, it's still curious how like decisions made, and basically, yeah, people like in power in Russia, they like want to have nice stuff, yachts and so on. They want
Yeah.
to go to Courchevel, you know, in Switzerland, with like these luxury resorts,
Mm.
Miami, you know, like want to be friends with, I think, Kushner and so, but they, I think, maybe want a better deal,
Hmm.
basically in this like capitalist neoliberal system,
Yeah.
compared to Iran, who has their own ideology, right?
Yeah.
Persia about their like Muslim, right? Shia,
Hmm.
they have like their mental models.
Yeah.
Whereas in Russia, it's kind of simulacra, fake of this. Well, some people maybe, but mostly it's, you know, trained on Hollywood, then Soviet Union, all this like
Hmm.
values, Christian values, are addicted with vengeance for so many years. So basically, yeah, it's like same epistemology, same mental models.
Hmm.
And what's before, right? Like Putin said, okay, we want to be in NATO, right? In
Hmm.
this
Yeah.
family, but
Yeah.
you need an enemy. You need like
Right.
you know, like and Russia is a successor of Soviet Union. It's like perfect for that. In
Oh, yeah,
order
absolutely. Yeah.
to
Yeah. Well, there was, I mean, there was, 50, 40 years of contrived history, and there was no way to adjust the career attitudes in the West when when the Soviet Union broke up.
mhm.
The there were too many economic interests. There was too much money that had been made on the Cold War.
Yeah, and regarding money, it's still like the same
Yeah.
system which
Yeah.
were like laid out by these neoliberal thinkers
Hmm.
during
Hmm.
the Soviet Union collapse after that, right? So banking
Yeah.
system they have in Russia, I don't know, like highest like margins. They are like almost 2% of GDP. Basically they're making money, right? Like we
Hmm.
discussed before,
Yeah.
the rate of like central bank high, like 15%, right? So
Hmm.
basically they're like making money, and everything other it's like tanking. So and you know they're not under government like in US, but they're under
Hmm.
some kind of international central bank or something in Switzerland.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So basically,
Okay.
this financiers class of this fire, right?
Hmm.
Finance, insurance, real estate, they're like transnational, and in
Hmm.
Russia they control like I don't know, like a lot, like these
Yeah.
bankers, like in US, like in Europe, like in Israel,
Hmm.
like these
Yeah.
banks. And only
Yep.
like China I see kind of they're like connected but not so much because they still can issue money like debt, which is control over labor, to
Mm.
this kind of to the real production of something like solar panels and so on, to manufacturing. Whereas
Yes.
in
Right.
our countries it's like just to inflate assets, to like the stocks, to like I don't
Hmm.
know, real estate. So it's kind of, you know, it's like looks like I don't know, like a dance. Maybe it's a conspiracy theory, but it's good,
Yeah.
like, you know, for Russia to have enemy, for European Union to have enemy, for yes, and it's like
Yeah.
people don't question what's happening inside on the local level, but it's like kind of
That is. Yeah.
pattern
That's.
the same,
Yeah.
like banking, they're like control everything
Right.
sector.
Well, the thing. Yeah. There's a lot of folks who don't like this idea, but I think there's a lot of value in it. The idea that um, that um, all of our decisions basically are made by our lower brain functions, our more reptilian and mammalian
Mm-hmm.
lower brain. And sometimes I'll tell people that, it's like, yeah, the limbic system only understands four things, and it doesn't understand language.
Mm-hmm.
But the limbic system understands friend, foe, can I eat it or can I fuck it?
Mm-hmm. Basic, yeah, needs.
And and what are called our our higher brain functions
Mm-hmm.
basically make up stories to justify that lower level decision making. And that's made, most of that decision making is made on meta communication.
Mm-hmm.
In between people, it's mainly through body language, faces. It's
Mm-hmm.
like reading the other animal.
Mm-hmm.
And in survival, again, it's like that maximum power principle thing. It's like, how do I get the most benefit from the least expenditure? And who do I align with in order to accomplish that? It's like, so what this is a weird metaphor, although I think it's very accurate. um every every cell, every simple form of life, um when I studied biology back a long time ago, one of the criteria for determining if something was alive was what was called irritability.
Mm-hmm.
Now, irritability is like a single cell in its matrix of existence. If something comes into into its neighborhood or in contact with it, that is that it recognizes as toxic, or induces pain or discomfort, it becomes irritated and it tries to move away or change the situation. So a cell will try and move into a friendlier part of the pond or whatever environment it's in. And most of us think of irritability as, I get annoyed with other people or something, or I can be irritated by someone's behavior. And that's part of it,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And so all life um, is, recognizes that there are things that are good for it, that enhance its survival, and there are things that threaten its survival, and it reacts accordingly.
Yeah, it's like a program basic program
Basic,
of this
basic,
biological platform, but still, as we are we have this strange thing as conscious, right,
yes,
which is like supposed to be like in this neocortex, right? We can use I don't know, like gun, put gun to our
yeah,
head, and people can
right,
like commit
yeah,
suicide, right?
yeah.
So it's kind of we can hallucinate.
Or like Lenin said, it's easy for one person to control 200 people if they have a machine gun and they're willing to use it.
Yeah.
Um, and so, so, but, but the thing is that what my my body is made up of billions of these cells
Mm-hmm.
that have, for some reason, found it beneficial to their survival to collaborate in the way that makes me
Mm-hmm.
or makes my vehicle. And um, and that collaboration requires giving up freedom. Like my liver cell cannot move over and become a heart cell.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got this army. I've got specialized cells in my body that are constantly circulating, looking for what belongs and what doesn't belong. Because I'm always eating things and I'm breathing things and I'm brushing up. There's all kinds of other forms of life that are trying to feed on me.
Mm-hmm.
I get the flu or I get a cold or I get bacteria or I eat stuff and it makes me shit to get things out, to clear things out because it's not, it's, I ate something that doesn't agree with me.
Mm-hmm.
And so my particular body is like a tribe.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole bunch of members, a whole lot of organization that maintains the integrity of who Mac is able to be, and it's under constant. But I don't. I hate to use the word attack, but there's all kinds of other forms of life and all sorts of other things that are attempting to feed upon me as I'm feeding on other things. I have to eat everything I eat used to be alive. Everything that's trying to eat me is trying to stay alive. And so at the most fundamental level, I am a tribe of my own.
Yeah, of genes. Well, if we were to talk through this, like mental models, through this language, like Rich and Dawkins and so on, guys, about materialist, I think maybe. The point is to pass on, right, in other body through this meiosis, I think, process through
Yeah,
sperm, and so
yeah,
this human body is just like a machine for genes of survival. But
that's
but
that's yeah, that's one perspective.
but emerging
What
quality
is
of it's like our conscious, right, and we can stop it, basically.
Yeah, except part of the question is, does consciousness come out of this complexity, or does consciousness inform all the complexity, not just me? Because a lot of what constitutes me
Mm-hmm.
does not have my genetics. I mean, there's a huge population of symbiotic cells that are not genetically me,
Mm-hmm.
but somehow my immune system, they've got a secret handshake. There's an agreement
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
at the cellular level
Mm-hmm.
that they're part of whatever this is. And whatever this is cannot remain viable without these non-genetic members of my tribe.
Mm-hmm.
They're not part of my direct genetic lineage. I mean, there's all kinds of bacterias and viruses and all kinds of things that I couldn't live without, or that this could not continue to function without these non-genetic components.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a
And even like going back to this all like self-help and reading and stuff, like we can't focus just on some ideology, right? So
right.
the most right ideology, like like kind of pillars. It's good to have like some kind of different kind of read something, listen to some, I don't know, indigenous, to some Japanese or something, to influence,
Hmm.
and then read nature, right? Just walk, and so on. Abduction, right? I think is the process.
Yeah, abductive. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How far we go from this bar self-help to uh,
But
cellular
I
level.
I have yeah, I have a high degree of trust in this this complex set of relationships,
Mm-hmm.
and how this complex set of relationships is dependent and woven into the greater set of relationships.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And um, and as much as I can, I I attempt to trust the millions of years that it has taken to arrive in this set of relationships that has a certain degree of viability, resilience, the ability to police itself, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
to keep circulating and seeing what belongs, what doesn't, and then marshaling forces to get rid of, to kill. You know, then there's constantly wars going on inside me with.
But does it like correspondence with your feeling? Like when you feel something, state of mind to do something, right? It's like
Mhm.
emerge, like from you, or to some guy say it. I don't know, self help guy from the video.
Yeah,
You know, like it's
yeah.
most like first it's like more induction, right? Empirical data from your feelings. Another one, it's more deduction. You're taking some foreign theory, right? Some expert saying that it's like these instructions, you will be successful, right?
Hmm.
And even not getting what is successful, right? Because like
Yeah, yeah, that's yeah, right. Yeah.
uh, it's like I don't know, millions of dollars, or you're feeling okay with yourself every day of your
Hmm.
life. You're like in the state of integrated state, right?
Yeah.
There's no
Hmm.
disintegration of your like feeling, right? And it goes back to what we discussed. You mentioned about in marketing, yeah, you need to create this pain, or
Hmm.
like usually it's already there, right? You're something not successful, not enough, and so on, and to hijack it, right, and to direct it to,
Mhm.
okay, there's like this supplement, or
Yeah, I got a
there's
solution for you.
yeah, there's this protocol. And
Right. Yeah.
just try it, it will be
Yeah.
fine. Yeah, mine,
Yeah.
just download my book, read it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and just maybe like first step, it's just to feel like enough, right, integrated
Hmm.
already as you are. uh, yeah,
Well,
and try.
everything alive is doing its best to continue living, and everything that's alive manages to keep living at the expense of some other things that were living.
Sometimes
Because to
sometimes
me,
it's expense, it's good for like this other creature, it's symbiotic. This creature gets more than it gives,
right?
right.
Well, our mitochondria are basically have their own DNA. They're a fusion from. They were like a blue-green algae that some cell back in the day tried to eat, and that kind of blue-green algae was able to maintain to keep from being digested by the cell that took it in,
Mm-hmm.
and worked out a symbiotic relationship that maintains us today. I mean, we can't, our mitochondria is vitally important to our metabolism, but it's technically a symbiotic relationship that's become so neither cell could live without the other anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Mitochondria could not leave the relationship and survive. And if the mitochondria left, the cell would die. And so it's gone from originally antagonistic, presumably, where one sort of simple cell tried to eat another one, and they weren't able to digest them. The other was able to maintain their integrity, and they worked out a reciprocal relationship. But
Mm-hmm.
now they can't separate it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay, maybe we can wrap it up till next time.
Yeah, yeah, we're
Our
getting
brains
pretty far into the weeds
melting.
here.
Yeah. Okay.